Okay, yeah, sorry about that. I ended up having to do this in two parts because, well, to be honest, I'm just too damn lazy to use video editing software right now. So, um, if you watched the first part of this, where I talked about pedophile worshiping goat fuckers that got killed in Texas over something, hey, the fact is that if you don't like it too fucking bad, okay? All of you people that are sitting there talking about, oh, we shouldn't make the Muslims angry or whatever, the same motherfuckers that were sitting there talking about piss Christ being such a wonderful, insightful and cutting statement on Christianity. Fuck you. Okay? You want to sit there and you want to smear elephant shit on the Virgin Mary? Motherfucker, I was born to a Catholic family, okay? Say that shit to my face. I live in Cartersville, Georgia. This is my face. Come up to Cartersville, Georgia, or I'll tell you what, I'll be at Dragon Con in Atlanta, in 2015 here. Say to my motherfucking face that you think that it's okay to smear elephant shit on the Virgin Mary. Anyway, as I was saying, I ended up having to go check because wife ended up dropping the fan and she didn't hear me calling if she was okay. Come to find out she's fine. But yeah, I'm cutting out all of the pieces for the Green Ranger Dragon Dagger from Power Rangers because it's my wife's favorite Power Ranger. Uh, and so I'm having to cut out all these little pieces. And the problem is that the way that they are so damn complicated. It's just taking me a while to cut it. Ironically, the pieces like that are a hell of a lot easier to take because it's. And then you got pieces like this. And then the arc reactor piece, like, oh my god. The arc reactor piece, this is just one of the ones I didn't use. You see all those little fucking teeth on there? And then or when you sit there and you have the ones where it's like, freaking places like this. Oh, where did it go? Yeah. Yeah, right here. And these weird angles. It's a bitch to cut these things out sometimes. Now I know why people who even use Pepakura to do various stuff charge so damn much for it. hmm. Well, anyway, now that I've gotten my rant and stuff out of the way, a little bit of progress on a few things. I I ended up. This is actually the induction coil. I think it's called the induction coil. Well, either way, it's from an electric can opener that ended up going belly up on us. And so the lots and lots of copper wire that's on there will allow me, whereas before I was using little short ass pieces of wire. This is actually multi-strand. And you can see it's a bunch of individual. Ah, yeah. It's a bunch of individual strands. And what I was going to be doing was, you have to trust me on this so you can see. Basically putting them all next to each other. And then I ended up going with the 8 rather than the 12. Yeah, just because it just the way that the markings are, which is a lot easier to do that instead of trying to figure out how to do the 12 marking one. But basically, just you lay it on it like that, and then depending on if the scraps are long enough to actually wrap all the way around, and then you secure it all with hot glue and all, And so you just see, as you do the thing, you can do 1 or 2 layers and just make sure that you actually get full coverage. And that way you have the, the friggin', the wire wrap effect of it. And I'm going to harden this actually before I do the wrapping and all, so that way I can take out these blank sections. Okay, yeah, I could take out any of these blank sections that are around, and on the inside, and actually mold, pieces of, there's a modeling plastic. I can't find what I've got in stock already, so I'm just going to end up buying another bag of it. But you basically take these white, it's polycaprolactone is a specific material. You drop these little white pellets into hot boiling water, or very hot water. You can also use a heat gun, which I'm also going to start looking at and experimenting with. But I'm basically going to, I may end up actually forming just the entire ring inside, so that way when I put the whole thing together, I will have the, the light will be shining through there, and then I do have a decent diffuser that I found, and then I should be able to get the light to come through this as well. Either way, if I can't get that to work the way I want it to this time, I will be making the improvements to that. So I don't know. I guess the part of the reason why I'm also doing the Dragon Dagger and taking a couple days off from the armor is just because I'm starting to get into things that a lot of people are going to be like, well, why is this, such a hard thing for you or whatever, but I'm going to actually be, like, soldering the stuff. Like, the last time I did it, and it worked pretty good with it like this, was I used hot glue as my solder joints and all, which, for very low voltage, damn near no heat to speak of anyway, applications, the hot glue's all good and well and everything, but I mean, I really need to start, like, doing decent production level and all, especially if I want to try to start making things that I can sell. So, and for the first time in my life, I actually have a solder gun. I'm like, oh my god, I love this thing. Which, by the way, solder guns are also very good for wood burning and stuff, which, realistically, the only difference between a solder and a wood burning tool is pretty much the tips. But yeah, you can actually use these for wood burning and stuff like that and all. I mean, pretty much, there really is no real difference between the two. No, at least no appreciable difference. And this actually, yeah, 50 to 60 hertz, so 30, yeah, so this one actually is pretty decent. It's definitely good for electronic work. This one is not so much good for a wood burning so much, unless you really want to do very carefully and very slowly and all, because the way it works is when it's in use, the tip does cool down while it's in use. I mean, obviously going from 700 to 650 is not exactly cooling per se, but yeah. And so the things like, I was actually reading up on it, but like things like the wattage and the frequency, the hertz on it and stuff like that, has to do with how well it will maintain heat in use, how well it will regain the heat, and how fast it will heat up, in the beginning and stuff. So I'll be actually learning a bit about that, so I can do a Mr. Wizard special or something like that, and talking about that things. And then, well, I can't find the one that I'm using because I'm probably just too lazy to lift up a couple of things. But right now, the idea that I've got for the power cell in the thing, oh wow, I hadn't even thought of using this one. Well, either way, I'm actually, yeah, one of these. I'm actually not going to be using these lights for it because the way that those are, there's just too many of them. And so, by going and using lights that I've already got, that I actually ended up salvaging out of that original arc reactor build, then I can go and actually extend battery life and things like that. Which way does this go? Which way does this go? I don't think it actually matters. Apparently it does. Okay. Now that we've solved that particular issue, but yeah, having the thing, there's actually two springs at the top of the other power unit that I can go and do the thing. I'm like experimenting with form factors and things like that with it now. So the arc reactor, this particular arc reactor piece is actually going to basically permanently be in the chest. But my goal is to be able to actually remove the arc reactor from the chest plate and be able to put it on a display stand. And so at first I'll be, basically doing a straight up battery power deal. And then I'll be working with it and like finding either an adjustable adapter, or I'll find like a 9 volt or whatever else to add the specific resistors if I need to, or however I end up doing it. It really depends on my power source. I'm also going to be experimenting with 9 volts for it. It's just really a matter of form factor versus economics, battery time, etc. I won't bore you with a lot of those details. And so once I actually get the arc reactor itself done, then depending on what I go with the power source and things like that will affect some of my design stuff. I may, like, I've got a couple of ideas, like actually having the friggin', for when it's in the chest plate, maybe actually have it where you go and you take it out, you drop the battery down into the thing, and then just pop the thing in, because the way that the heads are, I can very easily make something where it'll just be a straight up contact deal, instead of having to worry about really popping that damn head on. I could actually pop that here, have the connector to a contact pad or whatever. So I'm really kind of experimenting with different things, because how I get this working will give me more insight into my other projects. Like if I'm doing the helmet, if I'm working with the polymer batteries and things like that, then I can work on how to do the different pieces for it, like the battery, how to do the battery, these specific connectors and things like that. So I will be actually talking in more detail about like the projects I'm doing with the GoFundMe, which I keep meaning to put in the description. Basically my original intent in the whole thing, actually, long ago, before I actually found out about Iron Man, I wanted to do a self-contained suit that could separate me from the world. Was the first mobile application of what I was doing. Originally, I was just trying to figure out a way to be able to look at the world through a video screen, like send out a remote control robot or something. Which I'm still working on, actually. I'm looking at doing like virtual presence devices, and everything, and try to see if there's a way that could be used in a few different projects. But originally it was because I used to have a major problem with eye contact, and noticed that I didn't have any problem making eye contact, like in the early days of video calling. If I was watching a movie or something like that, I never had a problem looking at the eyes. My problem was dealing with people. And so I ended up coming up with an idea, which other people have obviously already done, which is you head-mounted video displays and so on and so forth. And so, yeah, I figured I'm still going to try to design and build my own. I mean, there's all sorts of part suppliers and things like that that I can go with, that are actually pretty cheap, and I can buy single display units and all. And so originally I tried to come up with something kind of like the Iron Man armor, in as much as a self-contained helmet that I could look through and see on a camera and so on and so forth. And so it kind of evolved from that. I realized at some point along the way that this could be a legitimate rehabilitation method. This could actually be a way that the things that I need to learn for the higher level projects, how to design portable computing units, how to design portable power units for this application or this application that I'll get into later. Yeah, is so trying to really learn that stuff and everything. It gets boring trying to just do the research and design of it. Well, seeing as I've got all of these projects that I want to do for fun anyway, which in and of themselves have commercially viable applications, I can therefore use this to accomplish the goals that I want to do and to teach myself all of the things that I need to learn for it so that I can go on to do all of these other projects and then turn around and actually market those. Well, the whole thing about what I'm noticing it's doing for me, I notice it could do for other people. And so I want to figure out how to actually turn it into a rehabilitation method. See, the problem isn't doing the rehabilitation method. It's I don't know the language and the jargon of how to write it up as methodology and everything. So I'm also, going to be studying that as well. Um, and so I'll be actually putting together more notes to go by for future videos about the project, its origins, and everything else. So definitely keep an eye on that and everything. And if you got offended on part one, I'm sorry, that's your issue. I'm sorry that you got offended, but I do not apologize for what I said because it is how I feel. In any event, thank you for continuing to watch and have a nice day.